Hey, I'm York Botanical, and this is Cityscape. It's a show we like to describe as an exploration of the people, no shortage of those in New York City, the places, no shortage of places either, and the spirit of New York City. And we all know that we have spirit in New York City. Today, we're going to go foraging for food in Central Park. We're going to explore the native forest at the New York Botanical Garden in the Bronx, and we're going on a scavenger hunt in New York's Grand Central Terminal. Let's get going. I hope you're hungry this morning because we are foraging for food in Central Park. And I'm not talking about finding the nearest hot dog vendor. I'm talking about finding berries and plants and other things that are growing naturally here in Central Park that we can actually eat. But I'm not taking any chances, and I'm not going to eat anything poisonous. So I brought in an expert. His name is Steve Brill, Wild Man Steve Brill, and he's right over there. Steve, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. Great to see you.
Yeah, have a bite to eat.
A bite
Welcome
to eat?
To my kitchen.
All right.
This is Asiatic dayflower.
Asiatic dayflower.
Show off any pieces of soil.
Thank you.
It has these land-shaped leaves. They're alternate. That means single. And no leaf stalk. And they taste like string beans.
Like string beans?
The faster you pick them, the faster they grow back.
They taste just like string beans. This man knows his stuff.
So nice to meet you.
Likewise, likewise.
You want to learn how to forage?
I do want to learn how to forage.
So what are you looking at me for?
So, how long have you been foraging in New York City parks?
Since 1982, doing public tours, and a couple of years before that on my own.
Wow, what got you interested in foraging?
I was hungry. I went into the kitchen. There was a carton of oatmeal. I made the cookies. They were quite delicious. I went to the raisin box. I made the recipe there. Eventually, I got into the public library, started learning how to cook and combining what I was learning from the cookbooks with a new knowledge of whole foods cooking and nutritional and healthy lifestyle, exercise, yoga, meditation, and whole foods. I've been a vegan since 1990. But one day in the late 70s, early 80s, I was bicycling past Cunningham Park in Queens. There were these ethnic Greek women dressed in black collecting something in the park. Since I'd just become a foodie, I asked them what they were doing. Couldn't understand a word. It was all Greek to me. But I came home with grape leaves, which I stuffed. And then in the fall, the whole forest was festooned with fox grapes, which are the wild forerunners of Concord grapes, and they were delicious too. I started getting books disappointing because they were written by academic botanists who didn't forage and didn't cook and just used inaccurate third-hand information from previous sources. But eventually I figured out on my own, once I was sure I had the right plant, where to find it, how to harvest it, when, what to do with it in the kitchen, and then started researching medicinal uses, history, folklore, and began leading foraging tours in 1982.
And we were lucky enough to have the Wild Man give us our own foraging tour through New York City's most famous park. Trust me, what we found was not just for the birds. Now, you stopped here. Is there something here you think we can eat?
Yes. This is common mallow, Malva neglecta. Let's not neglect it. It's related to the hibiscus, as you can see from the flower. Flowers and seeds and pods are what give you the clues to what plants are related to others. So this has fused stamens, those are the male parts of the plant, in the center. And the leaves are round and notched, and they have these teeth. Stop biting. These are called the teeth. Don't do that. These are the, I'll bite you. Quite good, mild tasting, and very chewy.
What would you compare that taste to?
Okra, which it's related to.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
But you need to have the knowledge, because you could accidentally ingest something that could make you seriously sick.
Yeah, if you eat the wrong thing, it can kill you.
After a quick jaunt weaving through joggers and cyclists, the Wild Man stumbled upon a hidden delight.
Okay, this is the purple flowering raspberry.
Once again, what is that?
Purple flowering raspberry.
The purple flowering raspberry.
The first ripe purple flowering raspberry I've seen this year.
I'll fight you for it.
Oh, you will have the honor.
Oh, thank you
Notice
so much.
it's hollow.
Yeah.
Blackberries, which are often similar looking to raspberries, although not this species, it doesn't even have thorns. They are not hollow. But here, see what you think of this.
Okay, let's give this a shot. I'm going to try the raspberry. It's tasty.
Yeah,
It's tasty.
These are good.
A little bit different than your typical raspberry,
Yeah,
but it's pretty good.
Species.
Just a few steps from naturally ripe wild fruit was a strikingly familiar tasting surprise.
Oh no, the plant is dead. It died. What does a plant have to do if it's going to die so there'll be more next year?
It has to put seeds out.
Okay,
It has to drop
hold out
seeds.
your hands like this. I'll do this carefully.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, don't let these fall on the ground,
Okay.
especially if you're Catholic. You're not supposed to spill your seeds.
And I am. I'll watch out for that. So what is this called?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Because I want you to eat all the seeds.
Okay.
And see if you can figure out by taste what family it's in.
Okay.
Eat them all.
I will. Looks like chocolate sprinkles, doesn't it? But I don't think it's going to taste like chocolate sprinkles. But let's see. We never know.
See, go ahead. Okay, chew them for a while. You've got some on your upper lip.
Okay. Making a mess with my
See
food.
if I can find any more. I want
Oh, wow. It tastes like mustard.
You
It
got
tastes
it.
like mustard.
These are mustard seeds.
Wow.
Do you cook at all?
Not well, but I understand you have a cookbook that can help me with that.
Yeah. Well, have you ever cooked with mustard seeds?
I have not. No.
Okay, if you cook with mustard seeds, you have to grind them up first. These are soft enough that you can chew them and not have to grind them. They actually add texture to recipes besides spiciness. So you can bake these into bread and give the bread a bit of a kick. It's called garlic mustard.
By this time, you might be wondering, is this all even legal? Can you eat plants in Central Park? Well, there's a long story behind that.
I began leading foraging tours, as I said, in 1982, and had the good fortune of being arrested and handcuffed by undercover park rangers for eating a dandelion in Central Park.
That's illegal?
In 1986. It's against park regulations to remove any vegetation from the park. So if a kindergarten child picks up a colored leaf in the fall and takes it home, that's against the park regulation.
Can't you just eat the evidence, Steve?
That's what happened.
There you go.
I got so much publicity that they dropped the charges and hired me to lead foraging tours, and I worked as a parks naturalist for the next 4 years. It turned out decades later, I found out I was subjected to false arrest. The real reason, revealed to me by the current Parks Commissioner himself, Adrian Benefi, that they came after me wasn't because I was doing something bad and they caught me. It was because they wanted to discourage foraging because they were afraid of frivolous lawsuits. Someone would claim that an allowed activity had poisoned them and sue the city. And that constitutes false arrest, but I only found out about that decades later.
Well, I wore camouflage today because I wasn't sure if it were illegal, and I thought maybe we'd have to hide among the plants, but
I'll hide behind you.
there you go.
When Steve told me we had to do a bit of bushwhacking to get to the next stop, I knew we were in for a real treat.
What are you seeing there, Steve?
This is called smooth sumac. It's a bush, can be a large bush or a small tree. The leaves, this is one leaf, are divided into segments like the tail of a bird with feathers coming out of it. That's called feather compound or pinnate. If the leaf were entire, were one big piece, it would be vulnerable to storm winds blowing it off. But because it's segmented, it's much harder to blow off the leaflets. And these leaves are alternate, they're in ones. And this is the fruit. I can twist this off. Now, squeeze this really hard right here.
Right here?
Pinch as hard as you can.
Okay.
And now touch your finger to your tongue. And let's see what you get.
Tangy. I have a piece in my mouth. Can I eat it?
No, it's too hard to swallow.
All right, I will.
It tastes like lemonade. Pink, if you put this into a small bowl of water, rub really hard, and then strain out the berries and sweeten. You get pink lemonade.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's full
Can I
of
try that
vitamin
again
C.
because
Yeah.
it was tasty?
Squeeze really hard. If you had some water, we could put this in the water and you'd have the lemonade.
No, you really
And it's delicious.
taste it is. Yeah, you really taste the zest. You taste the tang there. It's nice.
full of vitamin C, and it's also an astringent. It causes tissue to contract. So the Indians would use this on arrow wounds. And you do need to test these claims scientifically. And for years, I've been trying to get some volunteer to go to an archery range with me, but they all want me to volunteer. So it's not been verified scientifically yet.
I'm not sure those claims will be tested anytime soon, but with a belly full of wild edibles, it was time to let the wild man run free.
Steve, thanks so much for the foraging expedition here in Central Park. And humor me for a second here, because as we went about our tour this morning, a little song came to mind that I think maybe you want to use in promoting your tours. It's very pop music centric. So this doesn't seem right. It looks crazy. But here's my number. Forage, maybe? What do you think of that?
Excellent.
All right. Thanks for humoring me with that. And thank you again for the delicious visit to Central Park.
Sure, it's a pleasure. Send me an email with a link when this appears, if you're still alive.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks.
A quick trip downtown took us to our next stop.
Every day, hundreds of thousands of people pass through here, Grand Central Terminal. But not many take the time to explore the history and architecture here in Grand Central. But we're going to be doing that today with some help, with the help of Jared Nissim of Secret City. And here he is. Jared, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now tell us about Secret City.
Well, Secret City is a company that organizes and creates scavenger hunt events in places like Grand Central Station, or the American Museum of Natural History, or the Metropolitan Museum of Art, or Central Park, or other iconic New York locations. And the whole idea is to give people an interactive experience that really lets them drill down and have a hands-on, fun time at a place such as this, Grand Central Station. I mean, as you said, hundreds of thousands of people pass through here every day, but how many people really stop to look at the details? How many people notice the gold lettering and the fine little secrets and stuff that are everywhere within this terminal, or the history and the architecture and the daily life and all the little nuances in the stores and things that you wouldn't see if you didn't stop to look at them. And what we do is we help people find those hidden details in a fun team-building experience.
Now, you've been organizing social events and activities here in New York City for more than a decade now.
More than a decade, yes. After September 11th, I started an organization called the Lunch Club, which was all about helping people make new friends and build out their community and make connections, mostly during the day when, for people who worked at home or didn't have jobs, but it expanded into a full-service social organization. And out of that, we created Secret City because we found that scavenger hunts were really the most successful fun event that we learned how to plan.
Now, people also work in teams, so I would imagine that you're building some team skills there.
Yeah, actually, each team gets one copy of the clues, and it's up to them to plot their own course and strategize amongst themselves how they're going to approach the hunt. And as you'll see, there are bolded words on the hunt that tell you where in the terminal you want to be looking, but it's up to you how to plot your course and find these locations and search for the answers to the questions.
In organizing all of these scavenger hunts, what's the one thing that really floored you in doing your research that you learned about New York City?
Well, you know, every time I come to Grand Central, I learn something new, or I see something new that I haven't seen before. Like, for instance, on today's hunt, you're gonna notice there's one dark patch in the sky of the Grand Concourse that they left after renovating the terminal in 1998. And I never noticed that until quite recently. And as it turns out, there's a whole legend behind it that maybe you'll learn about today.
So shall we do a little scavenging,
Let's
shall
do
we?
it. Here you go.
Great. Okay, so we have the clues, and I have reinforcement. You didn't think I was going to do this alone, did you? Oh no. I have Julie Clark, our producer, with us. She is going to help us find the answers to these clues. Shall we go?
Let's go.
Okay, Julie, so the first question here is, in the Biltmore room, find the old train schedule from a bygone era. What time is the Knickerbocker due to arrive? So the first thing we need to do is find
The Biltmore room.
Biltmore room. That over there is Vanderbilt Hall. That is not,
That's not it.
the Biltmore room. I'm going to ask customer service. Is that not why they're there? Excuse me, where's the Biltmore room?
See where the pink light is?
The pink light? Yes, yes, yes.
Make a left. When the station gets off, just make a right and go around.
Okay, so left at the pink light, a right at the station. First, okay, gotcha. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Was that cheating?
It might have been.
Maybe.
I don't think we would have found it otherwise.
We have to get to the pink light. That's where we're going first.
So the pink light to the
In
Biltmore
Biltmore
room. The
is where we need-
Knickerbocker tree certainly doesn't exist anymore.
Didn't you? Station master, she said go to the station master and make a left. Station master. Wasn't it a left?
To much of our surprise, we got off to a slow start. These clues gave us, as well as our crew, quite some trouble.
Try it. Biltmore room. We are on our way. There we go. The Knickerbocker. What time is it due to arrive? It is due to arrive at 12:35. Ooh, ooh. There it is.
So what's the next clue?
The next clue we are going to look for. Don't quite go outside, fill in the blank. To all those who blank, 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 toiled in the construction of this monument to the public service, this is inscribed. Don't quite go outside. Don't quite go outside. Fill in the blank. To all those who blank, 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 toiled in the construction of this monument to the public service, this is inscribed.
We're gonna have to
Any
go
ideas?
not quite outside.
Not quite outside. So maybe somewhere close by here? What do you think?
Maybe.
Don't go quite outside. To all those who blank, 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 toiled in the construction of this monument to the public service, this is inscribed.
Who could that be talking about?
No idea. This is a tough one. Shall we go back to customer service?
That's too much cheating.
After some more wondering and a minor brush with security, we finally found our way to the next clue.
Construction of this monument to the public service, this is inscribed.
There it is.
Hey, there it is. To all those who with head, heart, and hand toiled in the construction of this monument to the public service, this is inscribed. And this is another victory for us. We have solved another clue, Julie. Back to the Grand Concourse.
Let's go.
Time. Don't hurt your necks while looking at the Grand Concourse astrological array. In the very center, notice the shapes. In mathematical terms, what are the longest sides of these shapes called, assuming they have a right angle? Now, don't hurt your neck. I think I'm good so far. There we go. There are the shapes.
Triangles.
Hypotenuse.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
There we go. Another one. Happy dance. Happy dance. Happy dance. Come on, Julie. Happy dance. Happy dance.
Oh, George. All right, what's the next one?
Okay, Julie, our next clue is during the restoration of Grand Central, workers decided to leave one rectangular patch of the vaulted ceiling in its old, time-worn condition to show what it looked like before. What creature in the astrological array is closest to this dark patch in the sky? Now,
First-
I have an advantage here because I know where that brick is.
Where is it?
So it is actually right,
Right
over
there.
there, and that is a
Crab.
crab.
Cancer.
Cancer. That's our answer. Another. Happy dance. Happy dance. Happy dance. So we have another one. Very good. Moving on.
Yes.
All right, Julie. We've done like a handful of these, and I am tired.
Yes.
We have so many more. We have like 20 more clues to get to.
That tired, George?
That tired. We have like 20 more to go. We'll get to it. I'm taking a break. All right? I've deserved it. I deserve it. I earned it. Join me, Julie.
After a long ride up to the Bronx, we made it to our final destination.
Toto, I don't think we're in Midtown Manhattan anymore, but we are still in New York City, and I'm with Skip Card. He is the author of Moon, Take a Hike, New York City. Skip, hello.
Great to be here. Great to be out in the Bronx.
Yes, we are in the Bronx, believe it or not, in the New York Botanical Garden. What is this area called?
This is called the native forest. It's 50 acres of virgin old growth that have never been cut down since about the time of the American Revolution.
So this is what New York City would look like if it never faced the axe.
Well, yes and no, but primarily yes. This is the trees that would grow here, that were here basically when the Europeans arrived.
What kinds of trees are here?
Mostly hardwoods, typical eastern hardwoods, oak, maple, beech, sweet gum, and a variety of leafy green plants.
And right behind you here is the Bronx River.
The Bronx River, named for a Swedish settler, Jonas Bronx, gave the borough its name.
Now, you say that New York City breeds hikers, only most New Yorkers don't know it.
I agree. People walk here a lot, they explore, they like going out and seeing what's new, what's different. It's a perfect training ground for going on a hike.
Do you find, though, that many New Yorkers are hesitant to go out there for a hike?
They really are. It's so comfortable here in the city. You know where you're going, you have public transportation. I'm often surprised at the fears of just getting out of the city and exploring.
What's your advice for someone who hasn't yet taken that step? What are the basics for a first-time hiker?
Well, carry the things that you need. Be aware that there's not going to be a bodega out in the forest. You're going to need to bring water.
There's not?
There's not. Your food, all the things that you need are not going to be available right on the street corners. So pack anything you might want, including a map, which is kind of odd for New Yorkers who think if you're holding a map, you must be a tourist. Maps are crucial for a walk in the woods.
And wear these things. Wear hiking boots, no flip-flops.
That's right. No flip-flops, no high heels. Good, sturdy shoes are always a good investment.
Now, your book again is Moon, Take a Hike, New York City. 80 hikes around Manhattan within 2 hours.
Within 2 hours of Manhattan, yes.
Really, 80 hikes?
And I only got the 80 best ones. I mean, there are lots of hiking trails in the state and county preserves in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. It's very surprising what's available to hikers out here.
Now it goes from beginning to advanced as well?
Yes, this is one of the beginning trails here in the native forest. I take my young daughter here sometimes, but you can hike some very technical scrambles that are suitable only for experienced hikers.
All right, can we do a little exploration?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
This obviously is a man-made trail, but were the trails here always as structured?
No, the land was acquired in about 1891 and it became the core of the New York Botanical Garden. They preserved this 50 acres in part because it was so beautiful. And it attracted people from Manhattan and all the other parts of the city. And at the time, there was a number of trails crisscrossing through here. They found out that's pretty bad for trees. You compact the soil, you damage the roots, and some of the older, more scenic trees that were potentially really popular were starting to get killed. Years later, they decided to just constrict some of the trails to the broad paths that we see here today. It's much better for the trees, and it still gives you a good look at what's here in the forest.
Now, you said the land was acquired in the late 1800s. Who actually owned the land?
The Lorillard family owned the land and operated a tobacco snuff mill right here in this property. They used the water along the Bronx River to power the mill, and what we see up here coming up is one of the mill races, places where you dam the water to get a consistent supply. When they stopped making tobacco about 1870, the land was fallow for a while, but then it was acquired by the city and then the state and turned into the botanical garden that we have today.
Is there evidence of that old tobacco factory here?
It's actually now a beautiful mill, reclaimed, called the Stone Mill. It used to be called the Snuff Mill, but it turned out to be a great place to hold weddings, and brides preferred the sound of Stone Mill rather than Snuff Mill.
Yeah, I guess for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Now, Skip, this is terrain worth talking about. What can you tell us about what we're standing on?
This is schist. It's the bedrock that's very common throughout New York City, but what really makes it unique is the striations that are not naturally forming. They occurred during the Ice Age, when huge ice sheets were pushing stone, gravel, boulders, large rocks over the bedrock on the way to the end of the terminus of the glacier. You get these lines that not only look beautiful, but they tell you the direction that the glacier was moving.
Wow, wow, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, the rocks are about 500 million years old. The ice sheet started retreating about 14,000, 17,000 years ago. It's called the Wisconsin ice sheet. It covers most of North America, the upper northern portion, and it left behind the terrain we see today.
We are stepping on history.
We are.
I wanted to stop here because this is a northern red oak. This is the most common oak in northeastern forests. Pretty impressive that I know that, right? You know
Well,
why? That's why.
Helpful little signs are.
But you know a lot about this tree. This is a pretty old tree.
This is my favorite tree in the forest. It is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, in the native forest. About 275 years old. It was here when the American Revolution was being fought. It's about 90 feet tall, has a circumference of about 4 feet. I'm sorry, a diameter of about 4 feet. It's just a beautiful old growth tree. Very, very impressive specimen.
Now let's give people an idea of just how tall this tree is. Because I'm short, I can stand in front of it. Look up. That is one tall tree. Now Skip, we have stumbled upon what's known as the bear den here in the native forest. What is the bear den?
The bear den is a natural shelter formed by large blocks of rock that were pushed into place by the glaciers. It forms a natural little cave. They found arrowheads and pottery shards dating back to about 1,000 years, so they know that the Native Americans probably used this as either a hunting shelter or a permanent shelter. It's not known if any bears ever used it, but that's how it got its name.
Let's see. I don't see any eyes.
Not at the moment, no.
All right. Now Skip, thank you so much. Your book is Moon, Take a Hike, New York City, 80 hikes within 2 hours of Manhattan. This is one of them here at the New York Botanical Garden. Thank you so much for taking us around.
It's been a pleasure showing you around. I hope you enjoyed the hike as much as I did.
Loved it. All right, well that brings us to the end of our exploration this week. I'm George Bodarky. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned a lot about New York City that you never knew before. If you want to continue to explore New York City with me, join me every Saturday morning at 7:30 on WFUV 90.7 FM. You'll also find us online at wfuv.org/Cityscape and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We're listed as WFUV Cityscape. I have more exploration to do of New York City. I'm off.